position because he wasn't fully invested. Cordell was fully invested. But hopefully that's the case beyond 2 weeks as we keep things moving here on Stats Over Politics. I was just trying to weed through any of all these comments. Shout out to everyone who is active on YouTube and on Instagram. We appreciate
we all lost, bro. Like, I get it. It's ha-ha, but it's ha-ha to everybody. We just got another ticket to Loser Club. We're all in the same place. Until next week, we're all 1-1.
Something that all four of us can unite on and we can all revel and enjoy is the fact that the Dallas Cowboys absolutely got the brakes beat off of them by the New Orleans Saints at Jerry's World, 44-19. And Kaz, we take it back to the preseason when I told you that the Cowboys were going to go like 8-9, something like that, and I had like 6 of the losses at home. And Kaz, you told me, Cowboys, they don't lose at home. Well, it's a new season, and they're not just losing at home. They are getting the brakes beaten off of them by Derek Carr, a.k.a. Michael Jackson, because of that selling.
He said –
and that's why everybody has to tune in on YouTube and on Instagram Live so then they can actually see it with their own eyes and they don't just hear us describe it. But anyways, the Saints beat the Cowboys 44-19 in Dallas. So, Kaz, I'm going to toss it back to you. What did you think of the game in itself? Was it more so about the Saints or was it more so about the Dallas Cowboys? We lost Kaz for a second, so I'm going to throw it to you first on this one, Kevin. Just what did you think about this game? Was it the Saints winning it or was it the Cowboys losing?
The Saints went up there and whooped that ass. Before I get into it, I'm going to come out here and beat him to the punch. Toddy has Alvin Kamara in fantasy, and I told him this isn't 2019, Toddy. Who cares? And now look at him. Ha, ha, ha. You proved me right.
I thought the same thing. Same thing.
Toddy's just praying on a miracle. Moving on. For them to give up 133 rushing yards before contact is absolutely insane. They have now lost 2 back-to-back home games. And this is supposed to be Jerry's World. Like you mentioned, Cass said they don't lose at home. They have a lot to figure out. And the question is coming around is, did the Cowboys get better or do they just get more expensive? You're seeing Micah Parsons have 3 pressures for the whole game, basically non-existent. You can put him on a milk carton. They were looking for him the whole game. And Dak Prescott couldn't – you can't sit here and tell me Dak had nothing to do. Yeah, the defense gave up 4 or 5 touchdowns to Alvin Kamara. Dak also gets the ball back and gets a chance to score. They couldn't do anything. They were in shambles, and yeah, people are going to say Jake Ferguson's hurt, and they don't have a non-existent run game. But for Dak Prescott to be the highest-paid quarterback, like Cal was mentioning with the Eagles, like if you want to sit here and be a top 5 guy, if you want to be known as a top 5 guy, you have to make top 5 guy plays. And Dak Prescott didn't do that. We're not supposed to see this team lose at home. This is the first time they've allowed 92 points in back-to-back home games, the first time since 1958.
I saw that.
So this is something that doesn't really happen. And like we all mentioned, we said that they don't lose at Jerry's World. For them to go undefeated last year and to now be sitting on 2 back-to-back L's where you just gave up everything. You brought in this new coach to replace Dan Quinn. His name is escaping my head. I cannot think of his name. Does anyone know his name?
You said say that one more time, Kev?
The Cowboys' new DC.
Oh, Zimmer. Mike Zimmer.
Mike Zimmer. So
hey,
Mike Zimmer but what a lot of people are saying is, what they did last week against 2 backup tackles is cute. But now that they're playing against starting level guards and tackles, they couldn't do anything. His last 2 years in Minnesota, they were 29th in defense. So it's not like they're replacing Dan Quinn, a defensive specialist, with another defensive specialist. He has struggled in his last stop. So we can sit here and say the Eagles can panic or the Niners should panic. The Cowboys should really panic because I'm going to say it again. Did they get better or did they just get more expensive?
That's a great point. And so, Kaz, now I pass it off to you. Did the Cowboys get better or did they just get more expensive?
Definitely got more expensive. I said before the season started, the Cowboys will take a step backwards. And first off, all credit to the Saints. Okay, I'm gonna say I'm a Derek Carr hater. I defended that motherfucker for years. And 2 years ago, he's trash, he's terrible, whatever. I think Derek Carr is he's a gunslinger, man. He's a gunslinger that needs to be in a gunslinger offense. And guess what he has? Now he has Rashid Shaheed to take everything away from guys like Chris Olave and was even throwing Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara. They played a complete game against the Dallas Cowboys. That's probably the best game they're going to play all season long. Let's call it what it is, okay? They played their best game in week 2 against the Cowboys. Kamara went off for 1 billion yards. Okay, Rashid Shaheed, again, another insane performance. Derek Carr is just one of those guys like, yo, you know what? I don't care if you're a big guy or not. I'm going to hit you up with that motherfucking ball if you're going to catch that bitch when I throw it. As for the Cowboys, what I'll say is this. I said it myself. The Cowboys are going to fucking wash the Saints. I said it on my predictions. I said it. It's gonna be a 2-score game. Cowboys win. And I said I was being generous. You got this secondary. Yeah, Deron Bland's out. I understand that. He's out. But you still have Trevon Diggs. You got Micah Parsons. These are guys that all Cowboys fans are saying these are the difference makers. These guys are prime time. Will step up in Jerry world. You know how hard it was for me to say as an Eagles fan that the Cowboys are going to win this game because they never lose home? To call that wrong, I was dead wrong. The Saints have proven all 4 of us wrong. There's nobody in this fucking group besides Kevin, maybe. I think you said Kevin, you took him, right?
No,
You
I
so
did not.
we all said, yeah, we all said Cowboys, right? For our picks.
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, even if we didn't want to say it, we said the Cowboys will win at home because they don't lose at home, getting their ass whooped. The Saints, I'll say this very loosely, for the next 6 weeks are real. I'm not gonna say it for the season. Leading into week 8, the Saints are real. They're not a joke. You better be able to stop Kamara, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave when he gets going. Shit, they're gonna have some games where Taysom Hill goes off. Get ready. As long as Derek Carr's not turning the ball over, you guys understand this, right? The Saints are gonna be a problem because their defense is just good enough as well. They're missing what we thought the fucking Falcons were missing with Kirk Cousins. Just a quarterback. The Saints are proving it. No, listen, we need a quarterback. Our D's great. Our guys are great. Give us a quarterback to get the job done. Derek Carr, about 5-6 years ago, was a front runner for MVP before he broke his leg. And then the rest, history changed after that. Now, he's making another surge. You never know, man. It's early. It's week 2. Things are going to change. But for right now, the Saints, they smacked the Cowboys in the fucking mouth. Thank God, because after what we saw tonight with the Eagles, we needed that. We needed that. The last thing we need is for the Cowboys to be 2-0 and wash the Saints, and we get beat by the fucking Falcons. So therefore, thank you, New Orleans, for right now. We see you guys next week. Holy shit. But yeah, you did us a big favor.
After week 2, when it comes to the quote-unquote elite teams, the Chiefs and their fans are the only ones who could really be happy. And they're spoiled. They're extremely spoiled at this point. I mean, for the last 50 years before 2020, they were not spoiled at all. But for these last 4-5 years, Chiefs and their fans have been spoiled. That's just how it is. I wouldn't say that the Raiders are also in that quote-unquote elite group, obviously. But Raiders and Chiefs fans are the only ones who are really happy after week 2. The rest of us, not so much. And so, Jaevon, as Kaz just said, this is pretty similar with the Saints and Derek Carr. It's very similar to the Falcons and Kirk Cousins. And as Grey Wolf points out in the YouTube comments, it's also very similar to the cycle that Baker Mayfield has gone through and how he has landed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's 3 out of 4 teams in the NFC South. The NFC South seems to be extremely wide open, except for the Carolina Panthers, who we're going to get to next. But, Jaevon, what did you think about this game? And are the Saints for real? Because you're the one who had them making it to the NFC Championship game last year. And after you kind of dealt with the backlash of that, going into this season, you said, I give up on this team. And now they're 2-0. And so what do you think about this Saints squad and Derek Carr?
Yeah, I'm back on the Saints.
He's back.
It's it literally comes down to quarterback play. I feel like Clint Kubiak has a major role in the way that the offense is ran. The utilization of Alvin Kamara. Kamara is one of my favorite running backs. He is my favorite running back in the NFL. And just to see him kind of get swept under the rug by a bunch of guys, new booties like Breece Hall, and, Saquon's out there, obviously. Kamara's been doing Bijan. Like, Kamara's been doing this for years. Like, before all these guys were literally in the league, he's literally been doing this for years on end. So, for him to kind of get swept under the rug from, injuries and him getting suspended and all of those things and not really being one of those top teams. Last year I picked the Saints to literally go to the NFC Championship game, and that was based off of how great their roster is. And I'll keep saying it. They have one of the top rosters in the league. I'm been on here saying if Fred Warner didn't exist, Demario Davis would probably be the best linebacker in football right now. He's been flying all over the place, making plays. Cam Jordan is still, a Pro Bowl caliber player. I think Lattimore is hurt. They have, I forget, what's their other safety's name? Number 5. I think it's something. He was making a bunch of plays over the weekend. I forget what his name is. Jew could probably put his name in the chat just because he was making so many plays against CeeDee Lamb. But I like their offense. Like, they got Shaheed, who is proven to be a deep threat in the first 2 games. I like their tight end. I think his name is Jaevon Johnson. I think he was injured. He was injured the past couple of years. Sophia says, "I know that guy. He's the TikTok girl's husband." And I was like, "Oh, okay, got you." But no, he's been injured for the last couple of years. He's been out making plays. So I mean, Derek Carr's talking shit to J.C. Horn last week. Like, bro, I got 3 touchdowns on you. Like there's a little bit of swag. You saw Kaz doing the Michael Jackson. He's doing the MJ in the end zone. Like, Carr got a little bit of swag back. So this team, and they have a number 1 receiver in Chris Olave, who Shaun and Kevin are very familiar with this time as they both do it in sync.
Wide receiver, you baby.
Ain't no debate.
They are very familiar of who Chris Olave is and what he's capable of. So, man, the Saints team, man. So I'm probably gonna have to. I think the Saints are gonna make the playoffs. I had them in last in my preseason. I had the Panthers over them, so I'm just
crazy.
I'm gonna definitely just scratch that and say, hey, no, not Honey Badger. There's another guy in their secondary. Obviously, Honey Badger is one of the top safeties.
I can look it up,
but I think he's like number 5, something like that.
Yeah.
But the Saints are making the playoffs. I mean, it's going to be tough because the Falcons look good and the Bucs look really good. So it's like, who's going to – in my predictions, I obviously had the Bears going to the NFC Championship. That's probably not going to happen. But go ahead, Shaun.
Will Harris.
Yeah, he was making a bunch of plays in the secondary yesterday. So going to have to make a couple tweaks to that. But, yeah, I mean, after obviously Bryce Young got benched today, so they're going backwards. But this Saints team, man, got the Eagles coming to town next week, man. Are the Saints going to be 3-0 on Sunday?